Last year, my video on best openings of the year became one of the most popular videos on the channel. So for 2026, I decided to update the list. I analyzed opening statistics again, focusing on win rates and how often you reach your ideal position. So here are the 5 best openings for 2026 for white. Coming in number 5 is the so-called Deutsch Gambit, an opening most players have never heard of. Here after bishop c4, your opponents will typically go either bishop c5 or knight to f6, which often will transpose into the same position, and in this case, guess which move has the highest win rate for white? Yes, it is that Deutsch Gambit pawn to d4. It seems that black made their very best to control this square on d4, and yet you strike right there. Now in this case, spoiler, computer suggests that bishop takes d4 is the best move for black, even though white still has full compensation here and nice attacking position, but most of your opponents will recapture with a pawn, which is already an inaccuracy because it allows you to push this pawn forward and to attack the knight. At first, black may think, so what's the problem? I'll just move it somewhere. Okay, but where can it go? Moving the knight to the center actually loses this knight on the spot because after queen to e2, suddenly this knight has nowhere to go. Your pawn takes away these 2 squares, and your bishop, together with the knight, also takes away that square on g5, meaning that the knight is just trapped right there. Alright, let's take it back. Where else can it go? I mean, going back to g8 is possible, but of course very passive, and you'll just have a crushing attack there. Knight to g4 may seem like a better option, attacking this pawn on a5 twice, and now you have different ways to go about this, lots of cool attacking options. One of them is bishop takes f7, which works really well, especially in blitz. You attack the king, and it's not even a bishop sacrifice really, because right on the next turn, you come with this check, which also is a discovered attack of the knight. That means that you're going to get this knight back on the next turn, and your opponent's king is totally exposed, plus they lost this pawn on f7. Computer says that the position is about equal, but of course for real humans, I think it's very hard and very dangerous to play such a position as black. They can't castle, the king is exposed, and their very next move is already a mistake. Knight takes c5 looks logical, captures a pawn, hits your queen, but in reality it enables your queen to shift right here, attacking the knight, and on the next turn, you deliver this check, taking advantage of their exposed king, then pawn to f4, and you're just winning. The knight cannot come away because of queen to f7 checkmate. The knight has to guard that square. And when black realizes that, and they're realizing that the knight cannot actually move, they're trying to get rid of your annoying queen, but you capture the knight anyway. And when your opponent thinks that you're crazy and you've just blundered the queen and he tries to capture it, he hears that sound of broken chess dreams, because his own king is in check. This sudden discovered check from the rook, which means that the king has to go, and on the next turn it will be checkmating. By the way, for the Deutsch Gambit, as well as for all the other openings which we're going to cover today, I'll link down below my videos with a full breakdown of these openings in case you want to go deeper. Coming in number 4 is your opening weapon against the Caro-Kann defense. While Elon Musk wants to make us multi-planet species, chess community is getting ready, and is honing the so-called alien gambit, when your reckless knight comes forward, and when your opponent tries to get rid of it, you just sacrifice it on f7. It is hard to talk about this move because, of course, Stockfish is completely disgusted and says that black is just winning, but in real human games, the black king is exposed, it's hard for black to continue their development, and you have a lot of short-term tricks as well as lost-in initiative. Therefore, again, it's completely playable. In 2025, white got 60% win rate with this alien gambit. The most obvious trick here is bishop g4, which seemed to make sense, trying to slow down white's attack by pinning this knight, but in reality it's just a blunder because knight to e5 comes with a check and a double attack. Moreover, on the next turn you don't even have to take the bishop right away, you can also play this another in-between check, and then it can lead to this quick checkmate. A normal move for black here is pawn to e6, but then you deliver this check, and now black is at the crossroad, going king to e8 or king to g8. Which one to choose? King e8 looks good, but it's a losing blunder. Now you've got either bishop d3 or queen d3 aiming at this g6 square, and while your threat is obvious, there is no way for black to stop it. The correct move by black is retreating to g8, but now after bishop to d3, white shifts the gear to this long-term attack. The rook on h8 is stuck, it's hard for black to bring it into the game, and in general, it's kind of awkward a little bit and difficult for black to complete their development despite being up a piece. Bishop d6 is what black usually plays here, and now there are different ways for white to go about this. Of course, white could simply castle, but in real games, f4 has proven to be very effective because now a natural idea of black to try to get rid of this annoying knight, bishop takes e5, is yet another decisive blunder. Again, that's how tricky the Italian Gambit is. Who would have thought that such natural exchange is already a losing error? The thing is, after pawn takes, we gain one more tempo, kicking the knight, plus we also opened up this f-file, which really strengthens your attack. Now, this bishop is also cutting off the king. Using this diagonal, something like queen to h5 is coming to add one more piece into the attack, and basically your attack is flawless here. For example, here you can just move the bishop forward with a bunch of threats and also lock in the king right there. If black tries to get rid of it, you continue chasing the king, and then it's like almost a forced checkmate. I mean, not really, but you've got a decisive attack, and in this variation you indeed win the game on the spot. Comedy number 3 is the Vienna Gambit. Here's the challenge for your opponent. The only correct move by black, which keeps the position balanced, is a very counterintuitive move, pawn d5, but only a slight minority will play it. Simply put, in 8 games out of 10, your opponents will not play this correct move and will instead do something wrong, such as pawn takes f4, which is wrong because it allows you to push your pawn forward, giving you 64% win rate in this variation, a very chess number, by the way. Now, here's the problem for black. The knight can't come forward because all those squares are already controlled by you. Retreating into g8, of course, is an option. We'll talk about that, and quite a sad one. Alternatively, they may try to play queen to e7, pinning your pawn down to your king and also attacking it, but you can easily play a symmetric move, and now your pawn is unpinned, thus threatening the knight once again. The knight has to go. Now you simply develop your knight. At the same time, you also keep an eye on the square so that his queen can't ever come there and deliver a check to you. Now your opponent is still having the same challenge, how to finally develop this knight and overall his king side. If black offers you to trade pawns, you don't do that. You have something much better, knight to d5, and now we've got a really classical Igor Nation trick. You attack the queen as well as this pawn on c7, and whether the queen comes here or here, it does not even matter because you can sacrifice your knight right here with a double attack, and once it's captured, you then play pawn takes d6 with a discovered check to the king, while also attacking the queen and grabbing it on the next turn. By the way, for the OGs, the very same trick works for black in the Russo Gambit with reversed color. And by the way, for you guys, those who are watching this video right now, our Christmas bundle sale starts today. I'll share the details later. If your opponent feels that it doesn't go his way and he's basically already preparing for the next game, then it's totally fine. You continue your development. After d6, we don't take because to take is a mistake. Instead, you just keep pushing with your plan. You grab the center, you're getting ready to get this pawn back, and after black takes on e5, you don't even have to recapture because you can play in the style of Morphy and Tal, just prioritize quick development, and once your opponent is greedy and their position is pretty tough. Anyways, here you've got this bishop sacrifice, which tries to deflect the king. If the bishop is captured, black is going to lose the queen right here. And an attempt to hold on to this defense fails because you've got this jack which forces the king out, and then queen takes d8 counts with a total destruction. Comedy number 2 is the counter to another very popular chess opening, the Sicilian Defense. And here we've got the so-called Mangarini variation, which is ridiculously effective. It is actually both ridiculous and effective. Now, you seemingly violate all classical opening rules, but somehow the win rate is crazy. Here you've got pawn to a3, potentially preparing for this pawn to be pushed to b4. Now, black goes knight c6, it's their usual move in the Sicilian Defense anyway, and they're also making sure that this square is under the control, and yet it is exactly what you do. This also attacks the pawn. Potentially you're getting ready to push the pawn forward and chase away the knight. Therefore black takes it and then usually captures the pawn. If not, you're going to push it forward and attack the knight. Black captures, pawn c3, hits the knight, and once it retreats back, pawn d4 leads to this position where you have a lot of compensation for the sacrificed pawn. You have the strong center, a lot of open files and diagonals for your pieces. You're very active here, plus your pawn is ready to go forward and chase away this knight. It's very natural for black to wish to stop this move by going d5 themselves, and yet it's kinda wrong, because after this trade you've got another weird move, knight to a3, violating another rule, a knight on the rim is d, and here you've got 68% win rate, which is pretty impressive. Your knight wants to jump there and then make a brilliant triple fork to the king, queen, and rook. Now, the threats seem to be pretty straightforward and simple, and yet it's hard for black to stop it. By the way, pawn to a6 is not a simple solution to this problem, because first off, you've got this move anyway. His pawn is actually pinned down to the rook, but even better perhaps is to reroute the knight here, threatening fork from b6 to both queen and rook, and if the queen comes away, you've got pawn d5 kicking out this knight from c6, and your attack only keeps going. Therefore, Black can't really stop it that easily. But in most cases, they will play one of these moves, which basically lose the game on the spot. For instance, something like knight to f6 looks perfectly normal, but in reality, knight to b5 comes with that deadly threat, and there is not much Black can do against it. Let's say queen comes back to d8, because what else? Now you've got pawn d5, you attack the knight on c6, Black can't take this pawn because of the knight c7 fork. If the knight goes away anywhere, you then add the bishop to your attack, and the knight can't go away because of knight c7. By the way, in this line, if he tries to come back, knight to c7 is not just a fork to the king and rook, because here you don't even need the rook, you've got a sudden checkmate. And if not, there is another forced sequence. Black needs to defend this knight somehow, then you attack it again. Black does not want to trade off the knight because of the same knight to c7 problem. Therefore, he tries to play f6 and keep this diagonal closed. But now your knight comes to d4, threatening knight to e6, attacking the queen, threatening knight to c7. Black moves this knight out of the way to secure this square e6. But now, after an exchange, you then continue with queen to h5 check. After pawn to g6, queen takes e5, your opponent never has any free time to develop or do anything constructive. You just keep attacking with your every move. And now again, you don't even need the rook, you just keep attacking with knight to e6. It's a rare case where a knight forks a knight and a queen at the same time. Black doesn't really want to take it, because if Black captures, pawn takes would lead to almost a checkmate and easy win, and otherwise Black needs to guard his queen and knight, let's say queen to d6, offering an exchange of queens, but you can reject it politely and say good night. And the winner, the best opening for you to play in 2026 is the Bishop's opening. And of course, it could be that I'm slightly biased because I've made a number of videos about it already, but actually I analyzed a lot of data, and this one indeed seems to be the optimal solution. It strikes the balance between being unknown by most of your opponents, also very aggressive with a lot of trips and tracks along the way, but on the other hand, you don't burn the bridges, and your position is perfectly solid if your opponent doesn't fall for any of your tricks. Now, there are, of course, a lot of traps, which you might have seen in my other videos, but also there are two usual attacking patterns, and I'll show you both of them. So here in these positions, one of these attacking patterns is you delay development of this knight on g1 because you want to push this pawn forward to f4. And you get something similar to the Vienna Gambit or the King's Gambit, and perhaps an improved version, because now it's not even a gambit. If Black takes the pawn, good for you, you will develop your bishop and will also get dominant position in the center. Otherwise, your opponents may see that you're weakening your king, and they wish to take advantage of this by going forward with their knight, and it looks scary at first, but we're gonna be bold, playing pawn to f5 with an impressive 72% win rate, which is huge and rarely happens in chess in any normal opening. Now, by playing f5, you cut off this light square bishop from c8. It no longer guards the knight on g4, and therefore you actually attack it, kind of provoking Black to execute his threat and to come forward. But Black is happy, he thinks he's winning. But not so fast. Queen to h5 counterattacks the pawn on f7, threatening something similar to Scholar's checkmate. Black castles and guards the pawn, but you keep attacking this time with the bishop. You hit the queen. Black can't push this pawn forward because it's pinned down to the king. Thus, Black needs to move the queen away, and if the queen moves, you then jump with your knight forward. Black thinks that you're attacking this pawn, but actually, after whatever Black plays, let's say knight to h1 or anything else, your knight doesn't come there, it instead goes to the king side. Now it checks the king, the knight has to be accepted, if not, queen takes h7 would be a checkmate, and if Black accepts the sacrifice, then after this trade, queen to g5 checkmate is coming, and there is nothing Black can do to stop this. Now, notice that this pawn on f5 does a really great job ensuring your space advantage on the king side and making it impossible for Black to bring any defenders closer to his king. The second attacking pattern may work out if your opponent castles early. Now, you've got the pawn to f4 move, which we discussed earlier, but on top of that, you also have bishop g5, pinning this knight. This pin is annoying. You can potentially reinforce it with the knight jump, maybe with the queen coming forward and reinforcing the pressure. Your opponent may wish to get rid of this annoying bishop. And of course, you could just retreat, but instead you can also play pawn to h4, just keeping the bishop right there and letting your opponent to capture it. In this case, you recapture the pawn and you got a really strong attack. Actually, for a human, it's almost impossible to defend a position like that, because not only you attack this knight when it goes somewhere, like underestimated the fact that you opened up your h-file for your rook. That's why we also delayed our own development of the kingside and castling. We wanted the rook to be right there, because now queen h5 just builds up this battery along the h-file and black is cooked. Now you're going to penetrate somewhere there with a checkmate. If the king tries to run and escape somewhere there, then instead of capturing the knight, you can first capture this pawn and also cut the king off. It can't come out of this dangerous corner, and now you can sacrifice the rook and finish it off. The bishop sacrifice can often lead to positions like that, which will be our puzzle of the day. Let me know if you can find the solution while I wrap things up. Since we're in the Christmas season, my two main training bundles are now available with discounts of up to 80%. If your goal is to reach around 2000 rating, my Booster Elo to 2000 bundle gives you a clear step-by-step system to improve. And if you want the complete solution, everything you'll ever need to get better in chess, that's my super pack. The links are below. Take a look and treat yourself to a real upgrade this Christmas. And of course, good luck in your chess games.